So today our presentation is on weight loss, okay? And we're gonna look at the science behind the evidence. What does the science say about evidence-based weight loss, all right? And just to kind of break the ice, what is the craziest diet you've ever heard of? Just kind of make a few hands. What is it? Sorry? Okay, what is the lemonade diet? And you just drink that. All right, lemonade diet. All right, what else? What's the craziest diet you've ever heard? Yes, sir. The caveman diet. What's the caveman diet? Just meat. All right, all right. Well, today we're going to look at the science and say, what does the science tell us about what is a healthy way to lose weight and also to keep it off? Because that's important, right? You could lose weight, but if you gain it back, then what's the good, right? So I'm going to go for maybe 30 minutes or so and just talk about that. Then we have my friend Ben here, who's going to come. He's lost a lot of weight. Okay, and he's going to talk about a little bit about his journey and how he's kept it off for, how long have you kept it off? Year and a half. Okay, so he's considered a weight loss champion, all right? And he's going to talk a little bit about how he did that. But of course, I just want to just point out, this is for educational purposes only. So if you don't apply these things until you speak with your doctor, and also I don't have any conflicts of interest. I'm not tied to any supplement company, to any company like that. This is just purely educational, okay? And also another important thing is I want to just point out that we can't guarantee results. So we're going to talk about the science, but we can't guarantee results to anyone, okay? So you try it out and you do what's best for yourself according to your kind of education. All right. So first, excess weight, why is that important? And I just want to briefly comment here because all of us knows that excess weight is detrimental to health. But why is that the case? If you look at this quote here, it says, chronic low-grade adipose tissue inflammation has long been associated with obesity and pro-inflammatory adipokines. Adipokines are just cytokines or proteins, okay? Pro-inflammatory means they promote inflammation. Can contribute to circulating levels of inflammatory markers. Excess visceral adipose tissue, adipose means fat, is an independent risk factor for cardiovascular disease and type 2 diabetes. Basically what this is saying is that the reason why obesity is linked with hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, and other host of other medical conditions is because fat cells release proteins which promote inflammation in the body. Is it making sense? And this low-grade inflammation leads to all these other chronic diseases, okay? This is why addressing obesity and excess weight is extremely important. And notice here I put that excess fat leads to other chronic diseases. And the reason I put other is because obesity itself, in the medical community right now, there's a strong push to consider it as a disease itself, okay? So a lot of people just say, oh, obesity, you just have excess fat. Well, from a medical standpoint, we consider excess weight to actually be a medical condition itself, which leads to other medical conditions, all right? So this is really important to point out because when you have family members and loved ones who have excess weight, you can't see it just as like, oh, it's like aesthetically a little bit not pleasing or something like that. You have to see it as an actual disease, and that they have to address it, else they're putting themselves at risk of other chronic diseases in the future. Is this making sense? Okay. All right. So, ever since the obesity epidemic has started, there's a lot of different people have attempted to lose weight. And this individual, his name is Danny Cahill, and he was 430 pounds here, and he dropped over 100 pounds, a lot of weight, and he dropped to 191 pounds. Okay, that's Danny Cahill. He was a contestant on the show, The Biggest Loser. How many of you know the show, The Biggest Loser? Okay, he was a contestant on that show, and he dropped tons of weight, yes? A lot of weight, okay? This is AliVincent, and she also was on The Biggest Loser, and she was the She was the first female contestant to actually win The Biggest Loser, all right? And she lost 112 pounds. This is her before, and this is her after. Quite a transformation. Yes? Okay. But if the story stopped there, that would be considered a good story. But unfortunately, the story doesn't stop there. This is Danny Cahill several years after The Biggest Loser. As you can see, he's clearly gained some of the weight back. And so if you look at this graph here, this is his weight when he started The Biggest Loser. After the program, he clearly lost a lot of weight. But after several years later, he had regained over 100 pounds. Okay? Now, he still kept some of the weight off, so that's still considered a success. But as you can see, the trajectory isn't looking that great. Okay? This is AliVincent, the lady that we saw. This is her several years later on, I think it was the Oprah show. As you can see, she also gained a lot of weight back. This is her weight before The Biggest Loser. After The Biggest Loser, she lost tons of weight. Several years later, she had already gained above 200 pounds. Okay? And we have to ask the question, why? Okay, and their stories are not unique. Yes, a lot of people, they go through weight cycling, okay, where they lose a lot of weight, then they gain it back. Does anyone here want to hazard a guess why is that the case?
Just go back to the way you were.
Go back to the way you were, okay. All right, one other guess? No? Okay. Scientists, they actually did a study on contestants on The Biggest Loser. Yeah, very interesting. It's from the NIH. They got 14 contestants from The Biggest Loser, and they tracked them from before the program to after the program, and then 6 years later, okay? So I just want to show you a graph here. The average weight was above 300 pounds for these 14 contestants. After the program, you can see they dropped tons of weight, but most of them, 6 years later, they had gained tons of the weight back. You see that? Like this. In fact, 2 of the contestants had regained more weight than even when they started The Biggest Loser. Okay. And so the scientists, they're trying to figure out why is that the case. Well, what the scientists did, they studied different metabolic measures. And one of the things that they measured was the resting metabolic rate. Okay, what do I mean by resting metabolic rate? Yes.
What your body does to digest food, breathe.
That's right, the energy that you burn just by resting. Okay? The energy that you burn just by resting. This is not exercise and things like that. So it's high or low or better for weight loss? High, obviously, right? You want it to be high. Well, they studied the resting metabolic rate of these contestants. This is before the biggest loser competition. After 30 weeks on the program, you could see the resting metabolic rate plummeted. 6 years later, even though they had regained tons of weight, the resting metabolic rate had dropped even further. Do you guys understand the picture? Do you guys see the picture? Okay, so they had to eat less in order to keep the weight off. Okay, compared to most of us. All right, and the reason why this is happening is because when you shock your body with anything, your body wants to maintain what we call homeostasis or balance. So even though you're overweight, if you start to lose weight very, very rapidly, your body thinks you're starving yourself. Okay, so what it does is, okay, since we're starving ourselves, this is not good. We need to protect ourselves. So what the body does is it starts to lower the metabolic rate. Does that make sense? To conserve the energy. Because your body doesn't care about how you look. It just cares about the fact that you're losing energy. And it doesn't like that. This is why people on The Biggest Loser gain so much weight. And so we could learn several lessons from this. Okay, first, extremely rapid weight loss can be detrimental. Are we agreed? When you lose weight extremely rapidly, it can be detrimental because it's going to drop your metabolic rate. Second, the dietary intake was unsustainable. Okay, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. And the exercise program was not viable. Okay, so for instance, this is a breakfast that I had last week. This is actually one of my breakfasts. This breakfast of oats, soy milk, some blueberries and cashews was about 800 calories. On certain days on The Biggest Loser, some contestants would eat 800 calories per day. Per day. So I had eaten more than some of them had eaten in just one day. I had consumed breakfast. This is just my breakfast. Okay? So obviously this is not sustainable. Does this make sense? This is not sustainable. You cannot continue like this. Okay? The average hours of exercise on The Biggest Loser was 3 hours per day. 3 hours. Okay. And just to give you just some reference point, the Canadian Physical Activity Guidelines recommends 20 minutes per day. So they had pretty much met the Canadian Physical Activity Guidelines for a week in one day. Okay. So when you go back, when these contestants, when they went back to their normal life, they're not going to be eating 800 calories per day. And they're definitely not going to be exercising 3 hours per day. All right? So when we think about weight loss, we have to ask ourselves the question, instead of looking for a very quick fix program, we have to think about, is there a lifestyle that can help me lose weight? Okay? So there's a difference. A diet program compared to a lifestyle. Is there a lifestyle that is sustainable, that will help promote a weight loss, and is it a lifestyle? Okay, and that's what we want to kind of look at. And I believe if you look at the science, the answer is a definite yes. All right? So first, let's look at what is a healthy weight. Okay, and I wonder if there's internet here. Yes, okay. How many of you have heard of the BMI? Okay, so BMI is not a perfect measure of weight, but it is a generally good accepted measure. And you can go easy on the internet and type in BMI calculator, and you can find a BMI, okay? And you could calculate your BMI and see if you're within the healthy range or not, all right? So do we have any volunteers to calculate BMI? Okay, Elaine. So how tall are you, Elaine? 6 feet. Okay, so we put 6, and what is your weight? 160 pounds. Okay. Does everyone see there? Yeah, okay, you can see it, right? Okay. So Elaine's BMI is 21.7, which puts him at a healthy BMI, okay? Now, let's go back, and let's just say Elaine was, let's say, 250, okay? So that will put him at an obese category. You see that? He is obese. Okay, so you can go on the internet and just type in BMI calculator, and you can just fiddle with the numbers and see what is my range. Okay. Now this is very important because a lot of people, they ask me, they say, George, what is the perfect weight for me? Have you ever asked this question? Or someone has asked you this question? What is the perfect weight for me? And you know, it's difficult to say that there is a perfect weight. You have to think of it as there's a range within which I'm healthy. Make sense? Okay, there's a weight range that within which I'm healthy, and you have to use the BMI to kind of give you an estimate of that. All right, so I want to encourage you to kind of go on the internet, look up BMI, and do some of those calculations. Okay. The next thing is, how fast should I lose weight? Does anyone want to take a guess what is considered healthy rate of weight loss? 1 pound a week. Okay. Any other guesses? Half a pound to 2 pounds. All right. You're close. 1 to 2 pounds per week is considered healthy weight loss. Now, I just want to give you, just to give you some perspective, if we do 1 pound per week, okay, so if you want to lose, let's say 30 pounds, you have to give yourself approximately 7.5 months to do that, okay? So if you want to lose 10 pounds, give yourself 2 months. Are you seeing the picture here, okay? If you want to lose, if somebody that you know wants to lose 100 pounds, they're looking at least 2 years, approximately, a conservative estimate, okay? Now, just to give you some perspective, our friends here, Danny Cahill, he lost over 100 pounds in approximately 8 months, 30 weeks, whereas he should have taken at least 2 years to do that. Do you see the difference? Okay, so imagine he had done it gradually over 2 years. I do not think that he would have had that massive drop in the resting metabolic rate. Make sense? okay? And same with the lady here, our friend AliVincent. She lost her weight in 8 months, whereas if she took an extra approximately 5 months to accomplish what she did, it might have been better for her. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you should purposely go slow. Okay, so I'm not saying that either. You should just purposely go slow. However, if you go on the program or the lifestyle that we're going to talk about, you're going to gradually lose weight at a very safe rate and effective rate. Okay, so I'm not saying just purposely go slow. I don't think that's the goal at all. But it does tell you that you should give your body time to lose the weight. Is this making sense? Okay, and it's when I've never been on a weight loss journey myself, so I'm not gonna pretend like I understand the feeling of trying to want to lose weight. Okay, however, the science does demonstrate that your body does need time to kind of regulate itself and get back to a healthy weight. Is this making sense? Okay. So now the big question: what is the best diet? Some of you shared some interesting diets. I went on the internet, USA Today, and these other other news channels, and found some interesting diets that people go on. Okay, so this is the cabbage soup diet. So you pretty much just eat cabbage soup. This is the cookie diet. Some of you might have heard of the cookie diet. How many of you have heard of the cookie diet? No? Okay. This is the blood type diet. How many of you have heard of the blood type diet? Yes. Okay. Sorry? Yes, that's right. He's a naturopathic doctor, who's made a lot of money off this diet. Pretty much, it's just saying, there's blood type A, B, and O. You have to eat certain foods based on that, right? This is called the werewolf diet. Sorry? Yeah, and you pretty much eat according to the lunar cycle. So at certain phases, you eat certain types of food, all right? This is the sleeping beauty diet. And the premise is if you're sleeping, you're not eating, right? So just take a sleeping pill and go to bed and you're not gonna eat. Yeah, okay. This is the raw food diet. Maybe some of you heard of the raw food diet. This is very interesting. This is the HCG diet. Anyone here heard of that one? It got a lot of press. It was on the Dr. Oz show and things like that. And HCG is human chorionic gonadotropin. It's like the thing that you measure to see if you're pregnant, women hormone. Okay, HCG. Well, what they found was that HCG is actually an appetite suppressant. It suppresses your appetite. So what people do, they eat 500 calories per day and they take a few drops of HCG, which is supposed to suppress your appetite. In fact, when I was in clinic, my very first patient that I ever had as an intern, she came in to lose weight and she was on this diet. Very, very interesting. Okay, but none of these is a lifestyle. Yes? None of these is a lifestyle. You can't eat cabbage soup for the rest of your life. You're not going to eat cookies for the rest of your life. You're not going to sleep for the rest of your life, right? You can't eat raw food. Probably more of us could probably eat a little bit more raw food, but you can't eat just raw food for the rest of your life, all right? So there ought to be something better than that. And there's other programs where they tell you, it's a little bit more reasonable, but they tell you, you have to buy all these packages and foods and things like that. And certainly that's not sustainable either, to have to constantly buy these packaged goods, specially made for this particular diet. That is not a lifestyle either, okay? So what is a good diet? And I'm gonna start diving into this right now. But in order to find out what is a good diet to help with weight loss, you have to look at what is the cause of weight loss. Does that make sense? Okay, so some of you who have been here from the beginning, you remember I talked about the concept of the running faucet. If a faucet is running water onto the floor, is it any good to get a mop and just start mopping the floor? No. You have to address the cause, which is to turn off the faucet. So when we think about how to deal with excess weight, we have to ask ourselves the question, what is causing excess weight? And then address the cause. Is this making sense? Okay, so what is the cause of excess weight? Scientists tell us the simultaneous increases in obesity in almost all countries seem to be driven mainly by changes in the global food supply. So they're saying it has something to do with food, all right, which is offering more processed, affordable and effectively marketed food than ever before, energy-dense, palatable foods lead to overconsumption, which in turn contributes to weight gain and obesity. Okay, so you notice I underline more processed. You see that? More processed. So what scientists are saying is that they look at the food supply, and they're noticing that our food supply is getting more processed and more energy dense. Okay? So the first thing I want to talk about, or I think we should agree on, is that if we're serious about managing our weight, we have to be very, very serious about severely restricting the amount of processed food in our diet. Can we agree to this? Things that are coming out of packages, boxes, cans, and whatever other packaging. Okay? So this type of food. These foods are very low in fiber, high in sugar, highly processed. It's very easy to eat a lot of them too much, and you're getting tons of energy. Okay? So if we are serious about weight loss, the first thing we have to be very serious about is addressing the cause, and they tell us that one of the causes is excess amounts of packaged, processed food in our diet. And I just have some demonstrations here for you. Okay, so this is a granola bar. Okay, granola bar. It's from a selection. So this brand, I'm probably sure everyone has seen this brand. Okay, this has 120 calories. 120 calories. This is strawberry flavored. Just to give you perspective, it's equal to eating this many strawberries. Okay, now how many of you can eat this many strawberries in one sitting? Yeah, Alain loves fruit. Yeah. But most of us, I mean, this is a lot. Yeah, this is a lot, right? Now, how many granola? How many of these can you eat in one sitting? A lot. I remember when we used to go snowboarding. My brother and I, we used to eat granola bars. We could eat like 4. We could eat a lot. Okay, so but this is processed. Obviously, this is natural, right? But this is going to fill you up more than just eating one of these. All right. So when our diet is full of these types of foods, you can very easily see just by the simple demonstration how easy it is to start packing on the calories without getting a lot of the nutrient benefits. Whereas if you eat this, it's going to fill you up very quickly, packed with nutrients, very healthy for you. Make sense? Okay, I want to give you another illustration. Here we got our infamous orange juice. Okay, and you can drink orange juice once in a while, no worries. But I just want to demonstrate to you this here. Okay, this is about 1 1/4 cups of orange juice, okay, from this company. Okay, and just to give you an example, drinking this is equivalent to eating about 2 3/4 of an orange. Okay, now how many of you can eat that many oranges in one sitting? Alain can. But it's very easy to drink a lot of orange juice. Yes. Okay. This is very little fiber. In fact, I don't think there's 0 fiber in this. Not a lot of nutrients. Whereas if you eat 2.5 oranges, you're packing yourself with nutrients. Okay, and it's going to fill you up more. Okay. So that's that illustration there. Okay, and I want to give you one more. Okay, here you have Tim Hortons. We went to Tim Hortons. I don't go to Tim Hortons, just so you don't have to lose confidence in me. But this is the chocolate glaze, the chocolate glaze donut. Okay. This is about 280 calories. It's equivalent to eating all this. Okay. Now, if you take away this donut and you get the English, the blueberry wild muffin, this is 340 calories. Everyone thinks that muffins are good for you for some reason, but they're not. Okay. That is equivalent to eating this and half of a cantaloupe. Okay. Now, it's very easy to eat one of these, yes? It's very easy to eat one muffin. It's extremely easy to eat this donut, okay? After you eat this, how many of you would feel at least you're getting there? Yes, you're pretty full, okay? This obviously, nutritionally, this is nothing, okay? this, you're doing very well, okay? And just for fun, do you want to take how many guess how many calories this is? This is 4 cups of arugula. 20 calories, that's right, okay? So vegetables, when people go on a weight loss program, we tell them just unlimited amounts of vegetables because you're not going to overeat on vegetables. And it's so little calories. Like, this is 4 cups of arugula, okay? So, well, I just brought it just for a demonstration, but, if you add it to a salad and things like that, yeah. Okay, so, the simple principle is this. If God made it, eat it. Okay, if the factory made it, don't eat it, but we want to be balanced, I don't want to say like never eat orange juice or something like that. But be cautious. And the word that I use to my patients is severely restrict. Okay? So I don't just say restrict a little bit, I say severely restrict. As in, on some occasion, you're going to be out with friends and things like that. Yeah, you can have some foods on odd occasion and things like that, but severely restrict. This means that maybe some of us, we have to go to our fridge and our cupboards, you have to open it up and see how many packaged foods do I really need all this packaged food? If you don't need it, it might be a good idea to take it out. Make sense? So the first thing we have to be very serious about is a very simple concept. You are eating whole foods, not packaged foods. What we're doing is we're going to a grocery and getting the raw things ourselves and cooking it ourselves. If you do this, then you're well on your way to living a lifestyle that's going to promote weight loss. Is this making sense? Are we all together? Okay? And I hope that this demonstration kind of puts things into perspective, because if you don't do something like this, it's very easy to just start eating these and not realizing how many calories you're actually eating. Okay? All right. But there's another layer to the story. Okay? And they did a study where they compared different diets. Okay? And so these researchers, they got omnivores. Who are omnivores? Just anything goes. Yeah, anything, yes, that's right. Semi-vegetarian, these are people who eat meat very infrequently, but they're still eating meat. Pesco-vegetarians, these are people who eat chicken and eggs and fish and things like that. Vegetarians, these are people who eat eggs and dairy. Then they got vegans. These are people who completely abstain from all animal foods. Okay? And they looked at weight loss over time, several months. I think it was about 12 months. And notice here, who lost the most weight? The vegans. Okay? And in fact, if you look at the graph here, the more plant-based you go, the better you give your body the chance to lose weight. Is it making sense? Okay? And this is just another example of that. They compare a vegan diet to another healthy diet, the National Cholesterol Education Program diet. This is a diet that they put people on who want to lower their cholesterol. So it's still considered a healthy diet, but it still contains meat. They compared that diet to a vegan diet, and they found that the vegans still lost more weight to even compared to this healthy diet. All right? Now I want to ask the question, why do you think eating less animal foods and eating more plant foods promotes weight loss? Less calories, okay, that's a very important aspect. What else? There's one other very important thing. That's right. So your name was? Veronica got it right. Fiber, okay? In fact, here it says, viscous fiber, around 20 to 50% in the whole grain products, blah, 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 could delay gastric emptying and intestinal absorption. What fiber does is slows down the release of food out of your stomach and the absorption of food into your intestines, the absorption of nutrients. And what that does is that it makes you feel fuller for longer, so that you have to eat less. So once you eat a meal that's high in fiber, you're full for a very long time and you don't have to eat again, all right? And just to give you some perspective, you have your steak, it has 0 fiber. And I want to emphasize this, that animal products have 0 fiber, 0, okay? But if you compare to a toast or bread, okay, if you have 2 pieces of toast, that's 10 grams of fiber, or that's already 25% of the total amount that you should have in one day, okay? Chicken breast, Again, meat, animal products have 0 fiber. Okay, so if you look at the graph, 0. Whereas if you have a little cup of beans, cooked black beans, that's giving you 15 grams of fiber. That's about 30% of the fiber that you need in a full day, just by eating 1 cup of cooked black beans. Okay, and beans are very high in fiber, and you want to eat a lot of fiber. All right, and this, just to give you an example here, this is a breakfast that I had one day. I had some fruit salad, some toast with peanut butter and bananas, about 900 calories, fiber, about 20 grams of fiber. This is half of the fiber that I need in one day. I got from just eating one breakfast that looks like this. Okay, now to do a comparison, you know the typical Western breakfast like bacon and scrambled eggs and things like that. Okay, so you got bacon, scrambled eggs, and I just added the fruit just to kind of give a fair chance. Yes. Okay. So that, if you like do the math, that's about 900 calories. So same amount of calories, but look at the fiber. 7 grams of fiber, and guess where the fiber came from? The fruit that I added here. Okay. So this goes to show how powerful a plant-based diet is, and the reason is because of the fiber. When you're eating a lot of fiber, you're not as hungry. In fact, my fiance can attest. For me, since I eat plant-based, my hunger tolerance is very high. I can go hours without feeling hungry at all. Okay, I don't need a snack. I don't need nothing. I'm still full, even 6-7 hours after my meals. Okay, so this is why plant-based eating is very important. Just for fun, I put here McDonald's combo, only 6 grams of fiber. It doesn't even match 1 serving of beans. And pizza as well, not very good. Okay, so the second principle I want to point out is if we're serious about weight loss, we have to eat whole foods, plant-based. So little processed food and eat plant-based. Pretty much a vegan type of diet. Is making sense? Okay, and this is what the science demonstrates as a good way to lose weight. Now, very quickly wrapping up here. How about low carb? How many of you have heard of low carb? That's good to go low carb, all right? What they found was this. This is comparing high carb and low carb after several years, several months. And what they found was that initially when you go on a low carb diet, you lose weight faster than if you're on a high carb diet, okay? But when you measure after, this is 24 months, so 2 years, pretty much the weight loss starts to even out, okay? So yes, initially, very rapidly, you lose weight on a low carb diet, but compared to a high carb diet, high carb, low fat diet, at the end, over long term, there's actually not much difference. Make sense? And my issue with the low carb diet is that it's often high in meat. Okay, so that's my concern with that. So the very simple principle I give to my patients is this: when you sit down, it's true you don't want to be eating too many carbs. So what I tell them is, when you sit down and look at your meal, half of your meal should be fruits or vegetables. Make sense? Okay, so this is a very simple way to kind of look at your meal and say, am I eating too many carbs? Okay, and what you do is just sit down, look at your meal. Is half of my meal fruits and/or vegetables? If it is, then it's likely you're not going to overdo on the carbs. Make sense? I hope this makes sense. Very quickly, how many meals? How many of you heard of like 6 meals is better than having less meals? Eat frequently throughout the day. What they did was they did a study, 2 meals versus 6 meals. And which group lost more weight? The 2 meals, okay? So the idea that eating more frequently might work for some people, but understand that it might not work. It might not be the best for everyone. Okay, so there's scientific evidence to suggest that eating 2 meals per day might be superior. And we'll save questions for after. Okay. All right, moving on here. Do meal times matter? Just very quickly, they compared large dinner with a small breakfast compared to a large breakfast and a small dinner. Guess which group did better? Large breakfast. Who here says large dinner? Large dinner. The large breakfast group lost more weight. You see that? This is a large breakfast group. this is large dinner group. I want to encourage everyone here to not skimp on breakfast. Okay, to eat a good breakfast. And science demonstrates that there is some evidence to suggest that might actually promote weight loss. In fact, when they looked at appetite and how full people felt, those who were eating a large breakfast had lower rates or lower amounts of hunger compared to those who had a large dinner. Okay? All right. Moving on very quickly here, pointing out in terms of exercise, the science demonstrates that you should have at least 150 minutes per week of exercise, which is approximately about 20 to 25 minutes per day of exercise. Okay, you need more than that, all right? And when you compare aerobic training to resistance training, you need to do the aerobic type of training, running, walking, biking, things like that. When they do studies on resistance training, like strength training and stuff like that, it doesn't have much effect on weight loss, even though it is important. This is important. But when you talk about weight loss, it's better to get your heart going and sweating. All right? Comparing apps, tracking your food and stuff like that. Okay, so there's a lot of apps to track your food and things like that. They actually found that there's no difference between using apps compared to using just paper diary. Okay, so I want to encourage you to track your meals if you're serious about losing weight, but compared to app or paper, there's not much difference. And another thing is weigh yourself regularly. Okay, they found that those who weigh themselves regularly actually end up losing more weight. Make sense? Yeah? Okay. Family support is very important as well. And just very quickly here, what are some principles to prevent regaining weight? So once you've lost the weight, what are some principles to prevent regaining weight? And I want to just share some principles to you. There's something called the National Weight Control Registry, which is a list of thousands of individuals who lost over 30 pounds and have kept it off for at least 1 year. So these are people who we consider weight loss champions, okay, who've been successful in their weight loss. And when they do studies on these individuals, they found several commonalities between these individuals. First, they lose as much weight as possible during the program. Okay? So when they're on the weight loss program, the more weight you lose, generally, the more you're actually able to keep off. Okay? Second, they stayed physically active. That's very important. In fact, these individuals, they exercise about 200 minutes per week, which is like about 30 to 40 minutes per day. So they stay very physically active. Get to the 2-year mark. What they find is that when they keep their weight off for 2 years, generally they're able to keep their weight off for a long time. Okay, so hit the 2-year mark and you've developed the habit to maintain weight loss. They stay on the diet. This is why we talked about living a lifestyle, a plant-based whole foods lifestyle, because you can maintain that type of lifestyle. So they stay on the diet. They keep their dietary fat low, so they don't eat a lot of dietary fat. They weigh themselves several times per week. So they keep on measuring their weight. That's very important. And they keep practicing restraint and don't indulge. What this is, basically people who are successful at losing weight and keeping it off, what they find is that these people, they don't have things like cheat days. Cheat days. Or they don't say, oh no, this is my birthday, so I'm going to start binging on my birthday. They don't do that. They maintain self-restraint no matter what. And this is extremely important when you're considering weight loss and maintaining weight. They don't go around cheating on their program. They maintain self-restraint. So that is very important as well. Okay, so just in closing, before I get off to Ben, some very simple principles I want to recap with you. First, eat a whole foods, plant-based diet. Half your meal should be vegetables and fruit. The other portion should be just plant-based proteins and whole grains. Eat breakfast and lunch. Eat a very, very small or no dinner. Okay? If you're getting enough fiber, it should keep you full enough to not have to have the third meal. No snacking, 5 to 6 hours between meals, 150 minutes of endurance exercise per per week. Eat whole foods. So transform the groceries yourself into food. Don't depend on things that come out of boxes, cans, packages, and things like that. And drink a lot of water every single day. Make sense? All right. Now I'm going to give it to Ben. And Ben, he is what we call a weight loss champion. And he's lost over 70 pounds in what? In 16 months. And he's, obviously you could tell he's kept the weight off. And he's going to share a little bit about his story. Then after, we'll open up to some questions from you.
So, hello everybody. So I had this whole weight loss journey. As a kid, I always actually struggled with my weight all the time. When I was in public school, kids used to make fun of me. They used to say, there's fatty. They used to say all kinds of things. My friends, they would defend me. They say, you know what, Ben's not fat, he's pleasantly plump. So this is kind of what I went through in my life. So I always struggled with my self-esteem and with my weight. I went through that in my life and always struggled. In high school, I was into bodybuilding and weightlifting. So it gave me a sense of power and I started looking better. However, I could never get my body fat down low. I'd always be struggling to maintain a healthy weight. As I learned, I said you can't out-train a bad diet. So I tried my best to out-train and eat what I wanted. And I went through this bad period in my life. I stopped weightlifting, I stopped exercising. I was living in a really bad relationship at a time. And when I was in this relationship, I gained a lot of weight. I was eating a whole bunch of bad stuff. I wasn't sleeping right. I was doing shift work. And I was drinking Monster energy drinks full of sugar and all kinds of bad stuff. So I went from, when I started my first degree in Oshawa at UOIT, I was around 180 pounds. I'm 5'10". And by the time I was done my first degree, bachelor's degree, I weighed 235 pounds. So I blew up big time. I gained a lot of weight. These shorts that I have here were my swim shorts that I would go swimming in. And as you can see, pretty big, right? So I was around a size 36, 38 size waist, or what I would wear for pants. I now wear a size 29. So huge, huge difference. So how did I achieve this difference or this change? So what happened was in my life, I came to learn about this church. It's called the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And we have some beliefs about health. And we have a prolific writer, and her name's Ellen White. So what happened was that I was like, okay, so this writer, she writes a lot about health. And if what she says is true, then I'll follow what she has written in those books. So I read a couple books. I read Counsels on Health, Counsels on Diets and Foods, and Temperance. Yes, the book Temperance, and there's a lot of writings there. So I read those books, and then I just applied what I read from them. And I thought, okay, well, there's a lot of health information here. I have a bachelor's in health science, and even throughout that time I had my degree, even the knowledge I got from university wasn't all that helpful. But when I read those books, and I applied what was in them, over the course of 16 months, so since May of 2016, I was gradually losing weight. People started to take notice, and I started to take notice. I was buying clothes, and I was just like, when is this weight loss going to stop? It was just very easy for me to lose this weight. And I had never experienced something so easy before. I used to lift weights and exercise all the time. I used to lift weights and exercise for over an hour a day just to stay fit and somewhat trim when I was in high school. And I was like, this is nearly effortless. I used to just, during my degree and my second degree, always on my computer, always sitting down, I thought, how am I able to lose weight and have it to be so simple or effortlessly? So in May of 2016, I was 235 pounds. Overweight, unhealthy, had poor sleep. But over the course of 16 months, I dropped down to 160 pounds. So that's a total loss of 75 pounds over 16 months. And when you look at it and break it down, that's 4.7 pounds every month that I lost. Right? In the beginning, it was a lot more, but if you take it over an average, it's 4.6, 4.7. So this is how I did it, was just applied what was written in those books. So what specifically did I do? So I ate 2 meals a day. I got a lot of exercise from walking around. I was, in my second degree, I was in downtown Toronto at Ryerson University. And I used to walk everywhere I went. So I did a lot of walking. I would log it some days around 10,000 steps a day. So I used to walk around a lot. I ate 2 meals a day, and I ate completely plant-based, whole foods. I started making my own bread, unleavened bread. I ate a lot of fruits and vegetables, grains, nuts. It's been great. I mean, living this lifestyle, the weight loss has essentially been effortlessly just from eating plant-based diet, walking around basically. Wasn't a whole lot of effort really. And it was a blessing, really was a blessing. And yeah, so that's my weight loss story. It's my journey. And I just hope each and every one of us will be able to partake in that same journey and experience success. Thank you.
I have a question for Ben. Did you, besides going fully plant-based, did you have other restrictions? Like, did you say like, I'm not going to eat carbs or things like that? Like, was it anything beyond just going fully plant-based whole foods?
It was more than just plant-based. It was unprocessed, no alcohol. There was nothing really specific, like saying no carbs or anything like that.
So you're still eating carbs and things like that?
Yeah, lots of carbs.
2 meals?
2 meals a day, yeah.
All right. Any questions? So open for this.
What time? So I'd eat them generally half an hour after I woke up. So I would eat around 5 a.m. And then my second meal would be, I get up really early, sorry. 5 a.m. would be my first meal. My second meal would be around 11 a.m. or 12. So there'd be roughly between 5 to 8 hours between my 2 meals.
Did you ever get hungry?
I was never hungry, yeah. Sometimes, usually if I spent a lot of time walking or something, I would eat a very, very small third meal. It'd be like a handful of raisins or something.
Any other questions for Ben or myself? Yeah, both of us.
Yeah.
We'll go Elaine, then we'll go to this lady here.
In the beginning, you mentioned that in The Biggest Loser, a woman never won the show. Is there something scientific about being more difficult for women to lose weight?
No, she did win. She was the first woman to win the show.
Yeah, that was my point. But all the other winners
Were men, yeah.
men. Is there something metabolically that?
Yeah, I think men have a naturally higher metabolic rate than women. So generally, men do find it easy to lose weight, but beyond what I told you, I'm not exactly sure. But I know that men do generally have a higher metabolic rate. We have more muscle mass and things like that. So. But it was amazing. She lost weight. She was the first winner. That was cool. Yes, Ben. Okay, intermittent fasting. I get this question all the time. So intermittent fasting, for those anyone who are not familiar with intermittent fasting. Okay, intermittent fasting, there's, as I understand it, you could correct me if I'm wrong, there's 2 kind of theories of intermittent fasting. One is you eat one day, then you fast the next day, then you eat one day, then you fast the next day. Okay, so intermittent fasting. The other way to do intermittent fasting is eating within an 8-hour window. So you eat only within an 8-hour window and you fast the rest of the hours. Make sense? Okay. Now I want to go back to my, I want to show you something here. Okay. The study on 2 meals per day. Okay. So there is good studies on intermittent fasting that actually prolongs the life of like mice and things like that. They've done studies on they're starting to do studies on humans. So my understanding is that intermittent fasting is actually very good, but the intermittent fasting that I recommend is actually going to 2 meals per day. and separated by 5 to 6 hours. So remember, my principle is 2 meals per day separated by 5 to 6 hours. If you follow that principle, you're actually doing intermittent fasting because you'll be eating within an 8-hour window. However, as compared to what other people might recommend, they say, just eat like whatever in the 8-hour window. Right? What I recommend is still sticking with 2 meals per day, but separated by 6 hours, no snacking in between. If we're eating whole foods, plant-based, we generally should not be feeling too hungry. But intermittent fasting is generally, I think, a good principle to follow, but not the skip a whole day of food. I'd recommend eating every day, but within an 8-hour window, and eating breakfast and lunch, fasting the rest of the day. Then wake up the next day, breakfast and lunch, and then fasting. What I tell people is, if you're hungry, then eat very small. So I tell people like fruit, maybe some nuts, but keep it very light. At evening time, your body is trying to rest and your metabolism slows down. It's better to eat breakfast and lunch. And as we showed from the studies, people that eat a large breakfast compared to people that eat a large dinner, the people that eat a large breakfast, they feel fuller. They don't have those cravings and things like that. Whereas those who eat large dinner, they still had high levels of hunger and things like that. Okay? So there's something special about the breakfast, which I recommend people to eat.
My question is to you. If you were trying to lose weight, what are 2 meals you would have?
What 2 meals would I have? I would have breakfast and lunch.
No, what? What would you have?
Oh, the food.
Bread, oatmeal, what would you have? I don't know that.
I can.
I mean, it's hard to say, right? Like, I'm Korean, so.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to be you. Okay, I'm pretending I'm you, right? And that's all it's good. Tell me who you're going to be.
Well, it's all individual, so I'll just give you some general principles. What I do is I try to follow this model. Even today, I still follow this. Okay, I eat this way. I look at my plate, and half of my meal is a vegetable or a fruit. And I really don't care which vegetable or which fruit. Okay, usually I eat just raw salad type of food, right? So half, and then I have some grains, and then plant-based proteins, which is things like nuts or beans, lentils, things like that. Okay, so this is the way I generally eat. Ben, I don't know.
I can share, yeah.
Yeah, what?
So for me, people think, oh, you eat like maybe 2 meals a day, man, you're like starving yourself. Not at all. My parents, I still live with my parents, no job. And basically that plate of strawberries you see there, my plate in the morning is like full. So what do I eat in the morning? My breakfast is like my happy meal of the day. So I'll eat like, I'll make pancakes, but dairy-free and meat-free. And I'll make it with buckwheat or kamut or any sort of grain like that. And then I'll put like pumpkin butter, which is a nut, like pumpkin seeds. And then you grind them and it makes it in sort of like a peanut butter kind of. And you put that on, a little bit of maple syrup. It's good, and it's quite healthy. And you put some banana on that. I'll put some like bananas, like 2 of them on it. So I love banana. That's one example. Another example would be like your porridges. So I'll use like, say, oatmeal, or what's the other one I do? Buckwheat porridge is another good one. And then again, I'll just heap fruit on it. I'll have a full bowl of that with some nuts, and it's excellent.
Yes, Ben.
What kind of foods do you use?
Fruit?
I'm sorry, nuts.
Nuts. Oh, I think it's okay, whatever nut. But what we recommend is non-salted, non-processed. So like the stuff that like they barbecue, honey roasted, things like that. I don't recommend those things. Just eat like raw nuts. But all nuts are okay. Almonds are good. Peanuts. Some people have allergies to peanuts and things like that. There's some concerns with aflatoxins and moldy peanuts. But almonds, pecans, pistachios. These are all good stuff.